Jenner makes a valid point. We do need to protect female athletes. Joining me now, president of the American Principles Project, Terry Schilling. Terry, when you saw Caitlyn Jenner come out with this, were you surprised?
Hey, Natalie, thanks so much for having me. I was not surprised. Listen, this is an issue protecting women's sports. It's an issue that crosses party lines. It has a lot of support with the Republican Party, independents. It even has the Democratic Party split 50-50. So when I see, people like Caitlyn Jenner supporting protecting women's sports, I'm not that surprised because it's really an issue of fairness. And you don't have to be crazy to support women's sports. You just have to be rational and be able to be objective. And I was very encouraged to see that Caitlyn Jenner supports efforts to protect women's sports.
She's a very powerful voice in this argument because when you look at it, the Democrats, they always act like they're the champions of girls and women. But now when you look at sports, it's like women are going to be the ones at a disadvantage if transgender women are allowed to compete in the same sports. And Caitlyn Jenner is saying the exact same thing. So why can't we just look at the proof, the evidence, common sense, and be like, this is not about fairness or equality. It's really just about protecting our girls and women.
No, you're exactly right, Natalie. This is what it's about. It's about protecting the opportunities for our daughters and our girls in America. We've never segregated sports based on identities or how people dress or how they choose to present themselves. We created Title IX through the Civil Rights Law to create equal opportunities for women in education and athletics. And that's how we got women's sports leagues. It's very simple. This is common sense. You're right. But what we're dealing with are radical, progressive left-wingers who have a cultural agenda. They want to destroy gender. The architect, Judith Butler, she's the architect of this transgender ideology. She said explicitly that they wanted to use gender to destroy gender. This is some weird anti-patriarchy, radical feminist thing that came out of Berkeley. And we need to fight back with everything we have, because if we don't, our daughters and our female athletes, they're going to be watching their sports from the sidelines in the future.
And what do you think about the different Republican governors' approach to this? You have Ron DeSantis saying, you know what, if the bill goes through the state house and Senate, I'll sign it. Whereas Kristi Noem said when the bill came forward, no, she was going to partially veto it, then do executive action because she thought she would lose in the courts. Which way do you think this is going to finally reach where we can all be in agreement, or are we going to finally see this end up at the Supreme Court?
Well, listen, the Supreme Court, even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as progressive as she was, had been on the record stating that women do have the right to their own private spaces, their own sports leagues, and their own protections in the law. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was no dummy. She recognized that there are serious biological differences between men and women that require different nuances in the law. And that's what we're going to get. Now, listen, you brought up the differences between Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem. And boy, are those differences big. Kristi Noem had a perfect opportunity delivered to her on a silver platter. Yes, woke corporations were going to throw temper tantrums and protest her state. And yes, the woke NCAA was going to threaten her state. But this is what Republicans want. This is what the country wants. They want you to stand up to evil people, bad people who want to do harm to this country for justice. Ron DeSantis is such a great governor, and he's proving us right. He's proving us right that he's a good governor, he's a strong governor, and he's going to lead. That's what this next generation of politicians needs to be about. It needs to be about leading.
This is not a question about equality. This is really about the next generation of female sports, because if we change this, we're not going to see female sports be as they are right now. And it's like they want to take it this way. This is the mountain the Democrats just want to put everything on. It's like gay rights for a while, that was their thing. And now there's equality, and now they're after this transgender argument, but it's not polling well. So in the end, what do you think this is going to turn out? Do you think the Democrats are going to win this argument?
No, absolutely not. The Democrats, this is a big weakness for Democrats. In fact, we've done a ton of public polling on this, and even Politico, as progressive an establishment as that outlet is, they came out with their own public polling that showed that even the Democratic Party is split right down the middle. So you're talking half of Democrats support protecting women's sports by banning transgender males who identify as women from women's competitions. We are going to win this fight. We have to win this fight, but we're going to.
Well, Terry, thank you for all you're doing to bring attention to this issue, because a lot of people are afraid to touch it, but you've definitely been exposing what's really going to happen to the daughters and granddaughters of the next generation. And if we don't fight it now, it's going to be over. So keep up the good work and keep us posted.
Thanks, Natalie.